Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanu, Pakhera-gale, ni hao, Churushumme, Washmale. Ohio Gazaimis, Guten Morgen, Hola, Boyo, Privet, Kaifahal, Haleshuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasal, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho Gracias, Swabia, Balikare, Hosh Gaden, Nayosayo, Huyamora, Jivato, Chihal, Kalimera, Kairotar, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching our election 2024's transmission, marathon transmission on PTV World. Ladies and gentlemen, I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and with me, I'm very lucky that I've been joined by my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Ms. Haja Satti. We hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well, and after a break of almost 6 to 7 hours, we are back on screen. Alhamdulillah, you know, it is an honor. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity for myself that it is an honor that, you know, my bosses, my producers, my directors, you know, the MD PTVC, you know, the information minister, you know, they kind of put their trust on us to kind of kickstart the election transmission, the marathon transmission, which has been going on from 10 a.m. Yesterday morning as well. And it feels wonderful to be over here once again to kind of talk about elections and how festive of an occasion it was for us. But first things first, hello Haja, Assalamu alaikum, how are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, thank you so much, Jazakallah khair, and thank you so much for introducing us. And certainly we are doing our election transmission marathon campaign, and yesterday the entire country was geared up and they exercised their right to vote, and the concept of democracy is hinged.
They can see it, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So the concept of democracy is hinged over this concept that there is actively widened participation of the people from the grassroots level, and we have seen that people of the Pakistan have spoken up, they have exercised their right to vote, and it was very interesting to see the analysis. And also, one of the facts that really fascinated and enticed me was that when I was coming from my home to the office, the roads were very clear and empty, and I really liked it because there was no rush. But Alhamdulillah, we are done with the election, and as the results are pouring in, so we are going to continue, and we are going to discuss about what sort of reforms does Pakistan needs, and what sort of the opportunities and challenges in the coming days are we going to face, and how to tackle them. And there is generally a need to come out, because yesterday we were talking about the concept of political maturity and how there needs to be a political maturity inside our political culture, because political culture determines a lot of things. And I think this is the time that we come out from this very political polarization that has not just taken over the Pakistan but the entire world, and we come out from this very fragmented, polarized sort of a political environment, and work for the Pakistan apart, and come out from a very vested interest and think about the national interest. Because if this country is there, then we are there, and we derive our power from this very beautiful land that we call Pakistan. So without further monopolizing our conversation,
let's I would like to add over here as well, because imagine that, you know, for us as Pakistanis, I think this was my third time that I was voting, Alhamdulillah, as we grow older. And this is one thing that I've realized yesterday while I was at the polling station, while we were alongside the camps of these different political parties. What I realized was that, you know, we as a nation are getting politically mature. Now imagine that, you know, that whatever we might have seen on social media, we've spoken about misinformation, disinformation, the voter knew who they are going to vote for. And I think that's something which actually kind of amazed me when I woke up earlier today as well, that imagine that now the people of Pakistan are actually so mature that they know which leadership they want for their future to be blissful. But in addition to this, Haja, what I want to kind of contemplate on today is that, you know, it was a very festive occasion. This is something that, you know, I will kind of in years to, will be speaking about or talking about, because imagine, so I picked up as soon as I got off from the transmission, I picked up my father, my mother, my wife. She had a vote in FA. Then we went to Rawalpindi, Gawal Mandi, where our vote is in Daryabad school. And then, you know, you go to a political agent, you know, they're going to give you this purchase. And then you have to go in and then you have to vote.
And did you take your daughters with you?
No, my daughters, I didn't take them in because it was too rushy. You know, the turnover or the turnout of the voters, ladies and gentlemen, was amazing. You know, I was kind of excited to see so many people there too. And not just that, imagine, so going back to that place where once I used to visit my grandparents, it was filled with people, it was filled with joy, people coming in. And then most of the time with, you know, with all of these political agents who are sitting outside giving you those purchases, they are more excited about food. You know, so every time food would come in, I think everybody is happy about
also excited about food little bit, right?
That biryani to come in, but I guess that it was a wonderful experience for me. And how seamlessly, you know, without any sort of, you know, problems and issues, you know, the entire process took place all over the country. I would like to pay rich tribute to the Election Commission of Pakistan for conducting elections in such a manner which was smooth. There was no problem at all, and I feel that as a Pakistani that we progressed and matured as a voter.
And I think one thing that we would like to further develop a conversation over this phenomena, and we would like to ruminate over it, is that the power of social media and how it has changed the total dynamics of these electoral politics and electoral system. And I think certainly it has dismantled some of the older elites that had the monopoly over that, and they are giving power to a younger population, which is of the 60% population of the young people of the Pakistan. So without any further ado, we would like to introduce our guest, and we would like to develop this conversation and delve upon the role of social media, how it has changed the dynamics of the electoral politics, and how younger people, because I was seeing on the social media and all the polling stations that there was such a, I would say, a rushy line in the queues of people waiting and flocking towards the polling station and exercising their right to vote. So there is generally a lot of awareness, and this is a very good wave among our citizens, and we would like to further contemplate and delve on that. So without any further ado, we are very glad that we have been joined in our studio by one of the very favorite of beauty with brains. She happens to be Miss Afsha Tehseen Bajwa, and she happens to be a senior analyst. Assalamu alaikum, madam, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Wa alaikum assalam, and wish you a very, very happy election.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. She happens to be former chairperson at NCRC as well, one of those people who've actually kind of developed the institute right from the scratch as well. So, you know, for all the services that you've rendered for the country, I think that we would want to pay rich tribute to you. Thank you so much for being the daughter of the soil. Alongside her, we're very lucky that we've been joined by, once again, another senior analyst who happens to be Mr. Ijaz Malik, AVM Ijaz Malik Sahab. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling today?
Thank you very much. Obviously, I share your sentiments for this very happy morning, where the entire nation is looking forward for a transition through a democratic process.
Exactly,
Right.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for saying that, and thank you so much for, having this very amazing sentiment. But we would like to further carry forward a conversation. But before that, we would like to introduce, or rather announce the results. So Shahzad, so why don't you take the
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, because you know, this is the election transmission which has been going on. So as soon as the results will start to come in, so ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner, and that too from NA 118 Lahore. And the winner from PMLN happens to be Muhammad Hamza Shehbaz Sharif with
1,05,960 votes.
Hamza Shehbaz, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be the former Chief Minister for Punjab as well. You know, one of those individuals who's actually been looked forward as when we speak of, you know, young leadership in the country. And speaking of the runner-up, ladies and gentlemen, independent candidate Miss Alia Hamza Malik with
1,08,3 votes.
And
She
so
was an
Hamza
independent
Shehbaz
candidate.
obviously was certainly one of those key players in the political arena who've actually served for a longer period of time, and is certainly a beacon of hope for the youngsters of the country as well. And imagine, Hamza Shehbaz Sharif Saab, congratulations to you. Another result, ladies and gentlemen, coming in from NA 46 PMLN happens to be winner Anjum Akil Khan. And this once again is the kind of a result which was expected as well, with 81,958 votes. You know, so obviously it happens to be, this result comes in from Islamabad as well, and he was you know, the runner-up you know, in his constituency happens to be Mr. Amir Masood with 44,317 votes. So PMLN, congratulations for these two results that we have announced, and for all of those results which have come in your favor, congratulations to you. And for all of those political parties who have been winning seats all over the country, congratulations to you too as well. Another result, ladies and gentlemen, an independent player, obviously happens to be Mohammad Raza Hayat Harraj with 118,999 votes, ladies and gentlemen. He was an independent candidate for National Assembly 144 Khanewal 1, and he was he was running against Sayyid Abid Hussain Imam, who lost with 78,296 votes. And this is where we really need to kind of talk about, you know, how the voters turnover has been. So imagine if the votes have been in hundreds and thousands. I think everybody can understand now.
Right,
from Bihari.
and then we have another winning candidate. He's from the NA 157. He is from Bihari.
NA 157.
Yes, from the Bihari district, and he is Sajid Mehdi, and he got 99,332 votes. Congratulations to this winner.
And the runner-up happens to be?
and Sabine Safdar Saiba, and she got 79,996 votes, and she was obviously running as an independent candidate, and we will keep you updating against all of these candidates. And another result is here. This is from the NA 135 from the Okara constituency, where PMLN candidate Nadeem Abbas has won. He got 1,29,218 votes, and he was standing from the constituency of Okara, and the runner-up got 1,607 votes. So, and he happens to be Malik Muhammad Akram Bhatti, and he was running as an independent candidate, and this is the constituency of Okara, NA 135.
Exactly. Another, ladies and gentlemen, winner coming up from NA 229 from the constituency of Malir, where the winner happens to be from Pakistan People's Party, Jam Abdul Kareem Bejar, with 55,732 votes, and the runner-up from this constituency and the NA 229, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be Mr. Qadir Baksh with 21,841 votes. So, you know, as far as
quite a difference in the voter, right, in the vote bank. And he was from the party of the PMLN, and obviously this is the Malir constituency of NA 229. Jam Abdul Kareem Bejar won the election from the platform of the Pakistan People's Party with 55,732 votes. So congratulations to the winner. And obviously we've seen the results are pouring in. So we have another candidate from the Kurangi Karachi constituency of PS 91, and the independent candidate Abid Jalani has won the elections with the 22,732 votes pouring in. And obviously we've seen the Karachi constituency. So another election result is here, where Khairpur constituency PS 31, the GDA, the nominee of the GDA,
Grand Democratic Alliance,
Syed Muhammad Rashid Shah, has won the election with 58,091 votes, and the runner-up happens to be Muhammad Bachil Shah, who got 51,769 votes, and quite a competition, right? Because he just lost from 1,000 votes, I guess.
Exactly. And moving on, another winner coming in, ladies and gentlemen, from Pakistan People's Party happens to be Sayyid Amir Ali Shah with 61,386 votes. Congratulations, Sayyid Amir Ali Shah, because from the looks of it, looks like as if, you know, happens to be a very young leader and happens to be from the Umarkot constituency of PS 50. And the runner-up from the same constituency happens to be against Sayyid Amir Ali Shah is Mr. Ghulam Nabi from the Grand Democratic Alliance, and he only garnered 50,648 votes. And well, you know, so I think Pakistan People's Party in Sindh, Pakistan Muslim League,
it's quite a stark difference in the voter bank.
So far,
right?
you know, as we are to kind of speak about it in Punjab, has got quite a strong hold as well, and that's what the results kind of replicate, you know, how things have been. Now moving on towards the other constituency, Sangar, and it happens to be PS 42. The winner happens to be from Pakistan People's Party, Jam Shabir Ali Khan, getting 58,383 votes. Jam Shabir Ali Khan, congratulations. Pakistan People's Party, congratulations. PS 42 as well. And the runner-up happens to be from the Grand Democratic Alliance, who is Mr. Jam Nafis Ali Khan with 47,999 votes. Hajar, do you think that this is like a tighter competition when we speak about, you know, a vote difference of 10,000?
I think so. It's more than it's 11,000, right? So I think considering the fact that we are talking about the Sangar constituency, which is particularly located in the Sindh, so I think this is a good competition. But obviously, the people have voted for the best constituent, which happens to be the nominee of People's Party. But now we want to kickstart a conversation and develop the conversation forward, and we would like to discuss a new phenomena that has gripped the entire country, and obviously at the intersectionality of how younger people, they are invested in the social media, and how social media has developed this particular awareness where people were exercising their right to vote, and how social media was pivotal in this entire election. question. So, Ms. Afsha, you were very passionate about it before we went on air, and you were talking about how social media has instilled this new awareness inside the voters in the constituencies. So, how do you make out of it? Do you feel that this is an opportunity, or is it also a threat when we talk about influencing or manipulating the opinions?
Thank you very much, Hajra. First of all, congratulations to all of us, to the entire country, for having these elections held very peacefully and very normally. And if you just recall, a couple of weeks before, everybody had apprehensions whether these elections will take place or will not take place.
Yeah.
So all the hue and cry we were watching on social media. So we must accept the power of this social media, artificial intelligence, how people were using it forcefully and, you know, outreaching towards all the, you know, peripheries of Pakistan and just conveying their message. So this is a big, I must say, tool utilized for this election campaign, and people not only got aware about their political opinions or maybe right or wrong or their interest or their contributions, but they actually came out, you know, during this election campaign. And the way you were announcing these results, we are just observing that 1,80,000, 1,50,000 huge turnout of people, and particularly people of all ages, from young to, you know, old. This shows that definitely our nation has still, you know, hope for a positive and prosperous Pakistan, and they did utilize social media very prudently, powerfully, and they did maximum use of it.
Exactly, and thank you so much, you know, for kind of putting it in such beautiful words as well. Moving on towards Mr. Ejaz Malik Saab. Sir, now my point of conversation, what I would like to talk about is, first of all, if you would want to kind of reflect upon what Hajar was asking, please go ahead, and then I'll continue with my question as well. So however you would want to put that, how Pakistanis came out in huge numbers to kind of
and I think there's another point that I would also like to reiterate, because of the social media, is the development of the echo chambers, right? So like-minded people flock together, and it is said about in the English there is a maxim that the birds of feather flock together.
Yeah.
So do you believe that social media is also responsible for very intense political polarization and fragmentation? However, we have seen that there was an immense turnout of the voters, but I mean that there is this side.
or do we refer to it as polarization?
Yes, first of all, I must congratulate the entire nation for a very successful and historic, you know, election, and the acknowledgement should be given, obviously, to the security operators of the country, including the armed forces as well as the law enforcement agencies, who ensured, under a very charged atmosphere of uncertainty, that elections, they were conducted in a very peaceful and organized manner. So I think that's a major milestone which we have achieved as a, you know, democracy loving nation. And secondly, as you have asked, Hajra, the role of social media. Social media has emerged as a key driver in mobilizing people. You know, earlier the dichotomy in our you know, electoral system was that while the parties would show up and they gather a lot of people in their procession, in their you know, corner meetings and all over, but unfortunately on the day of polling, we were right into the conventional you know, methodology or conventional norms, where you know, people are influenced by their biradari, by their clan, by their local influential people. So that was a dichotomy, and people would you know, cast a kind of doubt on the very validity and transparency of the system itself, that just few days before, you know, run up to the election, we were seeing massive rallies and processions of a certain party, but out of the ballot box we see another candidate you know, coming out as a you know, victorious
Thank you so much, sir. But when you've spoken about the dichotomy, I think I would I mean, I'm going to ask you, so I'm not going to form an opinion by myself, but I'm going to ask you that when you have political heirs to yourself, how do you see that? Do you see that as a dichotomy as well, where there's this one family who's been a part of the political system for a longer period of time? Do you see that as dichotomy as well?
The dynastocracy,
yes, actually, and unfortunately, I know after independence, while India they did away through a massive land reform. They had done away with the feudal culture then prevalent in British India. But in case of Pakistan, those feudals, they continued to aspire for the power centers, and rather we had seen a snowball effect wherein the feudals, supported by the urban elite and their linkages in bureaucracy and others who matter, they became a strength. And then perpetually we had seen, the family politics, and where we have, people, who are waiting or aspiring to ascend to throne.
So we've seen in South Asia that we are particularly afflicted by this culture of dynastocracy, and we've seen how in India there's one particular family which is continuously coming to power, and then in Bangladesh we have seen that there are two particular families that are continuously coming to power, and obviously we've seen that is also there's a diffusion of that in Pakistan too. So we will develop this conversation further on the dynastocracy and the merits and the demerits of that. But Ms. Afshar, now let's carry forward this conversation and let's develop and talk about, so results are pouring in, we will see that who's going to form the government, but whoever comes and take the reins of the power. So now let's talk about the party manifestos and what is needed in the days to come, and let's talk about the economic revitalization, because that is one of the points that our country needs it a lot, right?
So if you allow me, Hajar, can we start this point of conversation from here, where, irrespective of which political party is going to be in majority, and whenever they come into power, what happens is that there's politics of vendetta that we have experienced all through our lives. I'm 37 years old, alhamdulillah, this year around. And this is something that I've seen, that whichever political party is going to come in, they will always avenge themselves for whatever the other political party has done. Do you think that now we can kindly, because imagine that when I think of it, that for all of those political leaders going behind the bars or being in jail, I feel like as if, I am at a very respectable position over here, because now I am not actually at the risk of being behind the bars too. So imagine that for anybody to be out there, to be a leader, why do you think that once the government actually goes out or is being ousted, however it may take place, actually has to go to jail no matter what? Or, over here we have a definition that a leader is somebody who has to be in the bars or behind the bars.
Also, there's a lack of political maturity. How can we improve our political culture?
I think let me answer Shehzad's questions first, and then I'll move on to a very, very important question on manifestos and how we have to move on. I think now there is a perfect time to move on, and now that the public has also shown their maximum, maybe too much interest by coming out and voting, and now we have to come our country's interest first before our personal interest or vendettas, because we cannot afford it. As Hajar, you have very rightly mentioned, if Pakistan will exist, if it will be stable, we can exist. Otherwise, think of coming years where we are not only facing internal challenges but mostly external challenges, and we are tackling almost every day as a war situation. So now everybody have to exhibit maturity of mind, thought and action, and we have to focus on how we can now create political stability in Pakistan. If it doesn't exist, definitely now we should be ready to face the music, and we cannot afford it.
But so I'm very sorry for interjecting, but with all hue and cry around, don't you think that it's the political parties and the political leadership who are responsible for this?
Definitely they are responsible for this, and there are lots of factors. It is not only one factor. Dynastic politics, and then the stereotyping, the same people coming again and again. Now that particularly our young segment, which is 68% of Pakistan, have now shown their interest and hope, and maybe the way they have come out and they have voted and they are speaking, they are challenging all these norms which are definitely affected very negatively to our country. So now we have to put our trust, responsibilities on the shoulder of those people, and the young people should be leading. And we have seen big changes now. Lots of young people have taken a noticeable lead over lots of seasoned politicians. And the other thing now, as we have I have mentioned that we have to move forward. Now we have to think of a stable Pakistan, and this is the time now. Maybe in a day or two, the complete election will be announced. So now let's go back to these political parties, those people who have been, conversing by sharing their party manifestos, and during all these 3, 4, 5 months, even I have been went to lots of political senior representatives asking them to add reforms on education, on health, on other things in their party manifestos.
Right.
So please, it is a request to the entire nation now, evaluate, monitor, do the scrutiny, see how they are now implementing all their party manifestos, because it has just become a buzzword. Nobody actually, later on see what manifesto they had developed and how they are, fully, implementing all those
And it's for the voters to kind of understand as well.
So it is very important that the voters, nation should understand that it is something which they came up with lots of claims that they would be doing it. So definitely show emotions, but show more. I must say
authenticity,
transparency,
deliverance,
and evaluate them on the basis of what they have been claiming for, and keep all the history in your hands, because as Hajra mentioned, now we have the power of social media. We can anytime reflect back, go check and cross check and verify. So definitely very important, Hajra, and now here is the time to think about good governance, to think about transparency, to think about accountability at all levels.
And that accountability stems from the power of you, the power of vote, and that vote empowers you to give your opinion and to choose your representatives. So Ijaz Malik Saab, as we reflect and pontificate over the culture of political maturity, and Ms. Afsha pointed to a very important phenomena, which is the younger people and how they are taking over the reins of the decision making in their hands through this awareness of the social media. So, and Shahzad was talking about in the yesterday campaign, transmission too, that how there is this general, particularly I would say barriers of elitism. So if you do not have the money, you cannot run in the campaigns, right? Because it requires certain amount of the money, and then you have to put
5
the
crore
money.
ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣੇ ਚੌਧਰੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ 10 ਕਰੋੜ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਣੇ ਚੌਧਰੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਡਾਲੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ ਚੌਧਰੀ ਕਰੂਜ਼ਰਾਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ.
Exactly, and then you have to pay for the money and the food and whatnot. But now, as we pontificate over the power of the social media and the role of the younger people in it, do you believe that those old monopolies and the elitism, they are being dismantled, or they've already been dismantled? Because in these elections we have seen that there are lots of new faces that are emerging, and they're changing the political landscape of the country.
I think it's a gradual process.
Yes.
Given the shackles that our masses have been into for past 75 years, we shouldn't expect the complete change or transformation in 1 or 2 elections, because still our rural areas, they still are under the subjugation of their local lords, be it Gadi Nishin or Sajada Nishin, or a political influential person, or a big landlord or feudal of that area. It will take time. It will come with maturity through a process of behavioral change and education. You see, democracy per se thrives on awareness of rights and duties and obligations on the part of citizens. While Ma'am Afsha has mentioned about the manifestos, by and large all these manifestos are only election campaign rhetorics, and they are almost similar. Figures would be different. Somebody is promising 50,000 jobs, another may be giving 80,000 jobs or houses. So what we need to see is the deliverance, and we also have to raise the or change the aspirations and expectations of the voters. The voters have to have an inward thinking that we are not selecting a local councillor, we are selecting an MNA. MNA is supposed to be a legislature who is going to shape up the policy, the economic policy, foreign policy, national security policy. So we should not get him embroiled in our myopic expectations, wherein we just expect him to favor us in the thana culture or in the court kacharis, and or maybe a petty job for one of our family members. We must think him or her as an empowered person who is empowered not only with his own wealth or influence, but the power of the vote of his constituents.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. But at this point of time, let's talk about 2 more important things. Because further on, if we are to develop as a nation, I think we've seen the voter turnout, We have seen how mature people are, with the results which are coming in as well. Now imagine that as a voter, we have been expecting jobs. Rather, we have been expecting infrastructure in terms of roads, because imagine, so you can relate. Whatever I'm saying, you can relate it with any political parties and its manifestos as well, because we're speaking of it. Then, there's this one political party who's going to talk about trees. Then there's one political party who's actually going to talk about how they're going to make houses and whatnot. Now, imagine that, where you've actually pinpointed that we really need to kind of talk or ask them whether what sort of legislation is taking place and how many legislations have been successfully approved from the upper house to the lower house. What we are doing is that we are taking them to court kachari. Okay, that's one. How important it is for any political party when they come in power to be once they are part of the process, they need to complete a tenure of 5 years. How important it is for any political party to stay there for 5 years, because people have given them their mandate, and that everybody or everyone should individually or organizationally respect the mandate of the people, because we have given them vote, we have elected them to be the leader of Pakistan or Islamic Republic of Pakistan. How do you refer to this?
We must respect the mandate of people, and I would say even in any new setup, even if there is a very fragile majority which enables a particular group or a party to form a government in Islamabad, we all must learn to respect that.
True.
And let's leave it to the people who would be continuously monitoring. Let's believe in the power of social media, the awareness and the positivity of our youth, who are very vocal, unlike our generation, and who are who tend to follow the right path, and they are very expressive. So let's leave it to the people to decide for themselves after 5 years, and the change should be through ballot box. Whether it's of my liking or not, that shouldn't matter. The change should come with the mandate of people, and only the governments which are elected through empowerment of massive vote, that is the true essence of democracy.
Right. So, Ms. Afshan, now let's carry forward this conversation and reflect over the manifestos aspect of that. So, we've seen and we will see in a day or two that the who is going to take the power, the reins of the power. So, when we talk about particularly the gendered manifesto or gendering the gap in the manifesto, so lots of parties have announced their own particular social safety nets for the gender inclusivity, for the social safety. Do you believe that, and obviously manifestos are very flowery sort of the document that have all sort of verbosity on it, but do you believe that those political parties, they will deliver and walk the talk when we talk about the gendering the gap in that?
It's not a matter of believe or not believe. Definitely we are hopeful, but they should deliver.
Right.
There is no other option. As rightly mentioned by all of us, that now we must respect the mandate of the voters. They have came out, they have casted votes in huge numbers. They have played their role. Now it's on the part of those who matter, those who hold the power of decision making, deciding, and contributing and developing, or maybe giving a system of a stable Pakistan. And we should now focus that whoever comes in the power, they should complete their 5 years tenure, and within this tenure the next slogan for all these 5 years should be the good governance, because now people will come in the assemblies. So within the assemblies now and the other overall governance structure, there is a need of change, because how they maybe run the business, run the rules of business. Now our focus should be to correct that. Definitely we have to move step by step, but now think of all the good things, but we have to push for it. We have to speak it out. We have to voice it. We have to show that now people are aware. They have vigilant eyes, ears. They can speak. And now we have to put those who are now in power, who will come in the assemblies, they should deliver, and they should be accountable.
Very sorry, but ladies and gentlemen, since it's the elections transmission 2024 as well, so we are actually going to share the party positions as of now. The top 10 parties, ladies and gentlemen, are in front of us. So the Pakistan Muslim League, and ladies and gentlemen, with 13 seats is actually ahead in the National Assembly, and coming down is the Pakistan People's Party with 9 seats, then the Balochistan National Party, and with 1 seat, and the independent candidates with 1 seat, and another independent candidate with 1 seat as well. These are the top 10 party positions. Then independent moving on towards the down as well with 1 seat each, ladies and gentlemen, scalp ahead. And these are the party positions as of now, and as soon as we get more results, obviously the party positions are going to clarify whether which party will have the simple majority, whether they're going to have simple majority or not. or probably, are they going to kind of have a government of mixed candidates as well? Now, this happens to be another question.
So, no,
Sure.
let me continue
Sure,
first.
sure.
As Hajra had, raised a very important point of party manifestos, and they put lots of social development indicators in their manifestos.
क्या हम ख्वाब भी नहीं देख
Like,
सकते?
first of all, inclusive approach, mainstreaming of
inclusion,
gender,
yes.
social safety
Inclusion.
nets, social security, and lots of other things. But if we really see the history of Pakistan, budgeting particularly on development and social issues had been very low.
Education.
And take education as the main thing. It had never been even less than more than 1.7 or 1.5. So of the GDP. So if you really want to make Pakistan a very aware and prosperous country, you have to focus on education, health, and other such development indicators. And the key prerequisite for that would be how much national plan of actions to develop and add in your manifestos, and then you put a bar that this is what, and this much of the budget share would go towards these things. But on the contrary, when things start running, we don't see any such thing, and we keep chasing those people for.
That's a very valid point. That's a very valid point, and thank you so much, Ms. Afsha, because you pointed this conversation towards that, and I've already written it on the paper, which is why I'm going to move on to AVM Ijaz Malik Sahab as well. Now, sir, this is one thing where the voter needs to be more mature. So we have handed over our mandate to the people, whichever political party is going to come into power, because majority is authority. What all of a sudden starts to happen is that as soon as the government starts to settle in, seep in, take to the office, wo chor hai, wo chor hai, wo chor hai. Nobody's going to talk about how much work that you have done. So I think what we really need to kind of talk about over here is that now that you are into the power, when we talk about Charter of Democracy, when we talk about Charter of Economy, what we really need to talk about over here is what have you done so far for that mandate that we've handed over to you, and about the manifestos. How do you think that any voter can be out there to kind of ask, or not just that, there should have been an accountability for the manifestos that they've given, with which people have handed over them the mandate that
because
they have.
Shahzad, it is always very easy to define who you are not rather than who you are, and also because of the paucity of the time, sir. So Ms. Afshan talked about good governance, and when we talk about good governance, whoever is going to form the government, another important thing is economic revitalization, because our entire budget goes into the debt reservicing, right? So please, your comments on it.
One
quickly.
more on my own behalf.
Sure.
Sir, also please, we would like you to elaborate on the conflict of interest. When there is this assembly, there are various standing committees, so this structure should be improved, and there should be no element of conflict of interest if you really want to talk about transparency.
It has
But there will
something
always be
audio.
conflict of interest.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we should have a very meaningful and functional, parliament, wherein the people who are elected for a particular job, they must do their job regardless of their, previous biases, because now they have been chosen. Running into election, there are so many things that you would promise, or you would, reiterate in your pre-election campaign. But once you are assigned with that responsibility, I think good governance, a functional democracy, and then bringing, people into the center stage of our priorities, which means we should
With merit, or for whoever they have promised.
No,
previously.
obviously
merit.
No, it should be on merit, and we must focus on education, because education will ultimately enable a very vibrant and stable democratic system. And then health, and obviously human resource development, because with our ever growing population, the best thing which can happen, and in a short term of 5 years any government can do, is to focus on human resource development, so that not only that we bring in responsible citizen, sustainable youth model, who are participative in all full spectrum of social and economic horizons of the country, but also we can export this human resource for a very quick foreign exchange that our country very badly needs.
Exactly, and even in terms of remittances, ladies and gentlemen, we do know that it's the major chunk of the overseas Pakistanis, which sends in billions of dollars as well. But sir has actually touched upon a very pivotal point, Haja, over here, where in the recent times while we were growing up, we have seen that that when we speak of the Gwadar port and the construction, how it was that it's going to change the game for Pakistan. Unfortunately, we have not seen that as of yet. Then came in SIFC. It looked like as if it's going to be a brilliant project, and it is, believe you me, but we certainly want to see those after effects of it, where the economy actually gets stronger. Not just that, I think that at most of the fronts, Pakistan do need somewhere diplomacy, somewhere we really need to put our foot down. Unfortunately, we've had leadership in recent times where diplomacy was kind of compromised because of the fact that there was a strong, staunch, putting a foot down as well by the leader, the then leader as well. How important do you think for any democratic party to be out there, for them to be 100% diplomatic? This is your opinion. Or do you think that at times that you really need to use diplomacy for the betterment of your country rather than putting your image first?
The past experience as well as the indicators of the results that we are seeing in the election, no party probably is going to have a two-third majority or a very standalone kind of government formation is not in sight anywhere. So with such a fragile or a coalition kind of government, which I, in my personal opinion, think coming up in Islamabad, so I think the focus of any party who is heading the new government, it shouldn't be the next election. It should be the development of the country. Because if the country is developing, if the systems are developing, ultimately they would also be beneficiary. No political setup is permanent. Today there is one party which is in opposition, tomorrow it could be a ruling party. So if the system is correct, interest of everybody is being looked after. If we have a stable and a vibrant and independent media, it will ultimately favor everybody. If we have an enduring kind of electoral system, it will ultimately be in favor of country as well as the people, and obviously we must support that. We badly need some kind of consensus on having a meaningful electoral reform.
And sir, you have spoken about good governance as well. Haja, I'm just going to add on over here, and that is that for any political party to come into power, there's just one simple request. We as Pakistanis, we might get tired a little bit as well. Imagine that, the gas prices actually spiked up to 35%, where the fuel prices are, how, flour is too expensive for people to consume, how the salaries are minimum, how we're not looked after as a nation by the government, which we, ladies and gentlemen, have voted for. You go to any other department, I'm not going to name any in particular, but if somebody wants me to, I will one day. If you want to sit with me, wherever you're going to go, there needs to be bribery out there as well. Unfortunately, we are tired of this very system which exists. The people who are representatives of the government are there to help us rather than create difficulties for us, and this is exactly the kind of government that we want.
I think Ms. Afshan has a lot to add on this particular point.
I just want to say that now there is a time for paradigm shift.
Yep.
Now the slogans should be credibility, legitimacy, transparency, merit, rule of law, and only through these indicators we can assert the positive development.
Right.
And definitely we have to think of now towards these systems, and merit is must, and we should appoint right people for the right job, and you will get the positive responses within these next 5 years if really our ruling government, whoever comes in power, adopts these indicators. And now the nation should also be judging them on these indicators instead of showing only emotions.
And if you cannot find those people, ladies and gentlemen, just look at your television screen right now.
And that's a very wonderful suggestion, but thank you so much, Ms. Afshan, for suggesting that. And I think in the days to come, we are watching that positive change taking place, because yesterday we have seen that how so many people have flocked to the polling station to express their opinion, to exercise their power, the right to vote. And I am particularly sure that this has created a lot of political pressure on the political parties over developing and performing and obviously executing what they have promised, because if they are going to not do that, then obviously they are going to face the wrath of the voters. But thank you so much, Ms. Afshan. Thank you so much, Ijaz Malik Saab, for being here, for having this wonderful conversations. And we hope and pray for a wonderful and a prosperous Pakistan ahead, because we are going to get the political stability, which is one of the vital components when you talk about the national prosperity.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, the marathon election transmission 2024 is actually going to continue. We're going to beg for leave over here as well. The news team is going to take over, and after the news bulletin, the transmission will be back on as well. As soon as the result starts to pour in for any independent candidate or for any political party, we'll be right here, Pakistan Television, at the forefront of the marathon election transmission 2024. Pakistan Zindabad.
Long live Pakistan.
Alhamdulillah.